This presentation focuses on variables. We mentioned variables briefly before. This is a more comprehensive discussion. As we mentioned before, variables are just containers that hold a value that can be used and changed while the program is running. There are 3 steps for using variables. First, you have to declare a variable. This allocates space for the variable and sets the name given to the variable. Then you initialize the variable, which sets the initial value. After that, you can get or set the variable. This means you either use it in the program or change the value stored in the variable as the program is being executed. There are 3 types of variables in NetLogo: local variables, agent variables, and global variables. And they differ in the scope of where they can be used. Local variables can only be used in the block or procedure where they're declared. An agent variable is used by a specific type of agent, say for instance turtles or patches. And a global variable can be used anywhere in the program. Now, we've already talked about local variables at length, but I'm going to give you a little overview here. Local variables can only be used in the procedure or the command block in which they are declared, but they can be used by any agent in that procedure or command block. When you use a local variable, you declare it and initialize it in one step using the let command. Then you can use that variable anywhere in that procedure or command by just using the variable name. Or you can modify the local variable by using the set command. Agent variables. Now there are 3 types of agents, and that means there are 3 types of agent variables. Turtle variables, where each turtle has its own value for each turtle variable. Patch variables, where each patch has its own value for every patch variable. And link variables. Now, we haven't talked much about links, but it's just a different type of agent. So each link would have its own value for every link variable. There are 2 types of agent variables. There are built-in agent variables in NetLogo and user-defined agent variables. Now, we have already used many types of built-in agent variables when we've been doing our programming. For instance, I know that everyone here has used the turtle built-in agent variable of color, probably also heading, X-core, Y-core, and many others. Now, patches also have agent variables similar to turtles: pcolor, pxcore, pycore, and other things like that. And links too. User-defined variables are different. So user-defined variables are declared at the very beginning of a program using the statements below: turtle's own, and then in square brackets, some variable name. Here we have the variable energy. Or patch's own if we want to make a patch variable, followed by square brackets which contain the variable name. In this case, it's a Boolean called grass. And the same for link's own. So here's how you would use an agent variable. You would declare an agent variable if necessary. Now, it wouldn't be necessary to declare an agent variable if it's a built-in agent variable. Otherwise, you have to declare it using one of the commands we just gave you: turtle's own, patch's own, or link's own. Then you can set or modify that variable using the set command, which we've used before for local variables. Generally, agent variables can only be used or set by that specific agent. So turtles could only use or set turtle variables, patches could only use or set patch variables, and links could only use or set link variables. Now, there are 3 exceptions to this rule. You can ask one type of agent to set a different agent's variable by using the ask command. In the case below, we have an ask patches command block, and inside that command block, we're asking turtle number 5 to set its color to blue. Another exception is when one agent reads another agent's variable by using the of command. Here's an example. So we want to show the color of turtle 5. This prints turtle 5's color. The last exception is a turtle can read and set the variables of the patch that it's standing directly on. In this case, we have an Ask Turtles command block, and inside that command block, we're going to set the P color to be blue, and that will make every patch under a turtle blue. Let's take a look at some agent variables inside actual NetLogo code. Normally, I actually write code to show you when I'm doing a video. In this case, since I'm not actually going to be running the code, I decided to use a model from the NetLogo models library. This is the heat bugs model. Now, the details of the model are not important here, though if you want to play around with it, feel free. If we look at the top of the code here, we see that we have turtle's own variables declared and patch's own variables declared. If we look down into the setup procedure, we see that the turtle's own variables have been initialized. So here we've declared ideal temp, and here we've initialized the ideal temp to some value. Here we've declared output heat, and here we've initialized output heat. And last, here we've declared unhappiness, and here we've set its initial value. Now you notice we have not initialized the patch's own temp variable. In NetLogo, when you don't initialize a variable, it automatically initializes it to be 0. However, in other programming languages, that is not always the case, and it is always best practice to initialize your variables. So that's what agent variables look like in code and how you would initialize them. Okay, the last type of variable, global variables. A global variable has only one value at any time in the program. And it can be used anywhere in the program, and it can be used by any agent in the program. You can declare a global variable in 2 ways. One way is using an input device on the interface tab, such as a switch, slider, chooser, or input box. We're going to devote an entire video to doing that. The other way is in the code by using the globals keyword at the beginning of the code. Below is an example, globals and in square brackets numTurtles, which is the variable name. So as I already said, you can use and modify a global variable at any location in any procedure in the code and by any agent. You can do this by using the variable name. And you modify a global variable using the set command. Below, we modify the numTurtles variable, set numTurtles 100. Or you could actually modify the global variable value on the interface tab using a switch, slider, chooser, or input box. Let's go look at that code example again. Here we are in the heat bugs program again, and we can see at the very top of the code that we have a globals variable being declared, and the globals variable being declared is called color by unhappiness ? Which is a Boolean. And we can see that in the setup procedure we've actually initialized that Boolean value to be false. So that's an example of how you would use global variables inside a code. In summary, a variable is a container that holds a value. To use it, you declare the variable, initialize it, and then you can use or modify it in the code. There are 3 types of variables. Local variables, which can be used by any agent, but only in the procedure or block in which it's declared. Agent variables. Each agent has its own value for each agent variable, and it's used only by that specific agent with 3 exceptions that we discussed in the video. Last, there are global variables. There's only one value at any time for this variable, and it can be used by any agent and in any procedure. So that's it. Everything about variables. Thanks for your time.